Let's continue with our input fields here where we bind it to two-way binding to this. So what I want to do now is once I type in more than a few numbers, this one is going to change color. So sort of similar, right? And we're going to use the bind method here, vbind, in two different ways. First things first, we're going to bind a method to our input here, right? This part here. Here we're going to bind a method. And the method we're going to bind is called, what is it called? Let's call it switch color, like so. So whenever we're doing specific things with this input field here, we're calling this method. That's cool. That's what we want. So what we want to change is the actual color of the age we print, right? So over here in the paragraph tag, we're going to create yet another bind, but we're going to attach the style to it this time. That means that we can now dynamically change CSS that's part of this paragraph here. That's cool. So let's do this, and double parentheses, double quotes, not double parentheses, but double quotes, that's what I meant. And inside this, these two brackets here, we are going to type color like you would in CSS. So if you wanted a color red, you do this, right? Woo! But we want it to be dynamically. So we need to have somewhere a variable to store whatever color it's going to be depending on what condition is true or false, right? So we're just going to call this font color. So color, font color, this is like similar to Sass when you do call a variable call somewhere in the top right. So very similar to this, very dynamic. And back to our app here. So I just cheated and did this. I'm just going to remove that real quick. But for starters, we need to declare up here what this won't work, right? This is mean color, nothing. If you do this in CSS, it's going to break. So we need to declare our starting color, or else everything will go and won't work. So let's go with this color. I don't know what that is. And remember, this is a string we're passing in, so we need to have this, not like CSS where you do this. We need to put those around to make sure it works. Otherwise, it'll also give you the red error and you did a wrongie. So cool. Now we have this. So let's see if it works or it still breaks. So what have we done here? It's not defined in the instance, but blah, blah, blah. So we also need to, of course, create our method. So in here, we're going to do switch color. Whoa, spell it correctly with our camel casing. And this is a function. And there we go. So in here, let's see, now it shouldn't break, but nothing happens. At least it goes blue, right? Because that's our set color from up here. That's our starting color, but we want to change it now. So depending on how many numbers we write in, that's not an age, by the way, unless you're doing weird languages, but we just want to check to see how many there are, of course. So we're just going to do a quick console log. And if we just print out the age, right, we just get the number. That's not really helpful. What we want to do is we want to print out the length of it. How many letters, how many numbers are in it? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you have 3, you're in the hundreds and 200s, and if you have 4, you're in the thousands and so on, right? So we're going to print out this age, which we have stored up here, and then we want the length of it. So let's do this. Save, print, and let's see over here if you have this open. Right now it says 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, blah, 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 right? Cool. So now we know we have a specific number we can use. We are now going to create a statement called if. We all know those. So if something is true, then you do this, right? And what we want to do is we want to check if the number is at a specific length. So this dot age, what we just did before, length. And if that is smaller, or equal to, let's say 3, then you are going to do something here, right? And what we're going to change here is the color. So we're using this keyword again because it's inside the Vue instance. And then we're going to grab this one up here. So this color keyword, instead of being this bluish color, we're going to change it to something else. So we're setting this to a new variable. A new value, sorry, and let's go with something that's going to go red, right? I think red, that's purple. So if this is now true, then you go purple, and if not, then you do something else. So let's just set up our else in case. You don't need that one. We just write else, and we do this, And if everything else is not true, then we set up our backup. So this is just going to be the same as this one up here. Hashtag color, right? So have this in here. So if length is smaller or equal to 3 or 2, I think, then you print out this color, and if not, oh, bigger, so bigger, not my bad, bigger. And let's try this. So it should be blue, blue, and turn colors. Woo! So as you can see now, the value is over 3, equal to over 3. Now switch our color to this. So now we created a dynamic CSS where we attach it through the bind state here. And we can do this with many different things. So the size, we can hide things, we can do whatever, but those will also cover, of course. But now you can see we can use bind for more than just binding data, right? We can actually use it to change and manipulate how our page look by using these styles here. And we can do many things. We can also, if you wanted to change the font color, font size, you just add them in here as well. Cool, see you in the next video.